Okay, 8th grade science. Here is a little help with the next section, the next activity called balancing equation practice. Let's see how we balance equations, chemical equations. Okay, this is the activity that you need to put into your science journal. I'm going to go through the answers for you so that you can see how to do them. After I do a couple, you can turn off the video and try some, and then turn the video back on to see if you got them right. Okay, so let's start with number one. Number one is already done for you, but I want to show you what we're doing here. Okay, we've got this 2 right here tells us that we've got 2 nitrogen atoms. And this 2 right here tells us that we've got 2 oxygen atoms. But then over on the other side of the equation, we only have 1 oxygen and 2 nitrogen. So this equation is not balanced. We've got 2 of the nitrogen and we've got 2 nitrogen, but look, we've got 2 oxygen here and only 1 oxygen. So we're going to have to use coefficients in front of the elements and the compounds to make it the same. So nitrogen is already all balanced. So instead, let's look at oxygen. We've got 2 of them here. We need 2 over here. We can't put a 2 down here. If we do that, that changes what this compound is. So instead, we put a 2 in front. And what this does is now instead of 1 compound here of 2 nitrogen and 1 oxygen, we've got another one. Now we have 2 of them. So now, look, we've got 2 oxygen here and we've got 2 oxygen on this side. But now how many nitrogen do we have? We have 4 and we only have 2 over here. So we're going to have to put 2 more. So we've got 4 on this side. So we're going to have to put a 2 there. And in doing that, now everything is balanced. On this side of the arrow, we have 2 times 2. You multiply the coefficient by the subscript to tell you how many there are. This 2 times this 2 tell us there are 4 nitrogen. And here there's a 1 in front of the O, 1 times 2, there are 2 oxygen. Over here on this side, 2 times 2, this 2 times this 2 tells us there are 4 nitrogen. And 2 times 1, because there's not a subscript, tells us there are 2 oxygen, and everything is balanced and everybody is happy. So let's look at number 2. Sometimes this is a little bit of trial and error. You're going to try some things, and if it doesn't match up, then you're going to have to erase it and go back and try something else. So we've got sodium plus water, and that's going to yield this NaOH plus hydrogen. We got to see how we can balance this. Over here on this side, we've got 1 sodium, and we've got 2 hydrogen, and we've got 1 oxygen. I'm putting a little X by the oxygen so that it doesn't look like a 0. Over here, we've got 1 sodium, we've got 1 oxygen, and we've got 1 hydrogen here and 2 hydrogens here. So we've got 3 hydrogen. So we are not balanced. We're going to have to do something to get this balanced. We've got too many hydrogen on this side. We've got 3 of them, and we only have 2 over here. So what should we do? I would start by putting, let's see, let's start by putting a 2 in front of this. That now gives us 2 sodium and 2 oxygen. And now we have 1, 2, 3, 4 hydrogen. Okay, over here on this side, we only have 2 hydrogen. So I'm going to have to put a 2 in front of this. And now 2 times 2 gives us 4 hydrogen. So look, our hydrogens are balanced. And we have 2 times 1. Now we have 2 oxygen. Look, our oxygens are balanced. But we only have 1 sodium over here and we have 2 over here. But since sodium's all by itself, I can just put a 2 in front of it and that makes 2. And now everything's balanced. So number 2 is balanced. Okay, let's look at the next one. Like I told you, it's a little bit of trial and error. We got KClO3 and KCl plus O2. How in the world are we going to balance this? We've got 1 K, that's potassium, 1 chlorine, and 3 oxygen. Over here, we have 1 potassium, 1 chlorine, and 2 oxygen. Look at this. This is the only thing that isn't balanced, and a 2 and a 3. You have to find a number that 2 and 3 go into in order to see what you're going to have to use for your coefficient. Because there's no way that we can put, if we can't put a 2 in front of this, that's not going to get us a 3. And if we put something in front of this one, that's nothing multiplied by 3 is going to give you 2, and nothing multiplied by 2 is going to give you 3. So instead, we're going to have to put a 3 here and a 2 here. Because now we have 3 times 2, 6 oxygen, and we have 2 times 3, 6 oxygen. But in doing that, that gave us 2 times 1, 2 potassium, and 2 chlorine. So that means we're going to have to put a 2 in front of this one. So we get 2's. And then everything is balanced. When you balance your equations, you want to make sure that all these coefficients are reduced. You don't want anything to be going into there. Like you wouldn't have wanted this to be 4. I'll try to erase that. You wouldn't want, if you got a 4 and a 4 and a 6 here, that would have balanced it. You would have had the same amount of everything on either side of the arrow, but 2 goes into all of those. You want the least one. All right, let's look at number 4. Li plus FeBr2 yields LiBr plus Fe. Now they left little blanks in front of all of them. You don't always have to put a coefficient there. Sometimes you're just going to leave the 1. All right, let's see what we've got. We've got 1 lithium, 1 iron, Fe is iron, and we've got 2 bromine. And over here we have 1 lithium, and we have 1 bromine and 1 iron. So the thing that we got to work with is this bromine. So there's 2 of them over here. So let's put 2 of them over there. Now we got 2. 2 times 1 gives us 2. But what did that do to the lithium when we did that? It made it 2. So we're going to have to go back to this side and put a 2 here so that we have 2 lithiums. And now everything is balanced. Okay, let's look at the next one. That was number 4. So now let's look at number 5. We've got NaOH plus FeCl3. I'm looking at it and I can't see it very well. And that yields NaCl plus FeOH3. Now we've got this parenthesis over here. So let's see what that does. When you have an ion, that's what this is right here, this OH, when it is together over here as an OH, we can just think of it as one. You can think of it as separate if you want, but I'm just going to think of it as one, since it stays OH on both sides. If it split up and made something else on the other side, the O and the H, then you couldn't do that. All right, so let's see. We've got one sodium, we've got one OH, we've got one Fe, and we've got 3 chlorine. Over here we have one sodium, one chlorine, one iron, and 3 OH. Okay, so the things that we got to look at are the chlorines and these OHs. Those are the things that are different. So we've got, I'm going to start with chlorine. We have 3 chlorine here, so I need to put 3 chlorine over here. That gave me 3, but it also gave me 3 of the sodium. So I'm coming over here, I'm going to have to put a 3, so I have 3 sodium. But look, that also gave me 3 OH. Oh, everything's balanced just by putting those 2 3s there. And it balanced everything. All right, let's look at number 6. Ca2Br2 plus NaCO3 yields CaCO3 and NaBr. Okay, so if we want, we can think of this CO3 as one thing because it stays together on both sides. So on this side, on the first side, we have 2 calcium, 2 bromine, 1 sodium, and 1 CO3. Over here, 1 calcium, 1 CO3, 1 sodium, and 1 bromine. We got 1 of everything over on this side. And we've got 2s over here, so we better do something to make 2s over here. We need a 2 for the calcium, so I'm going to put a 2 in front of that. That gave me a 2, but then that also gave me a 2 there, which means I have to come back over here because I need this to be a 2, so I better put a 2 here. That gave me a 2, but it also gave me a 2 of the sodium. So then I got to come back on this side because I only have 1 sodium and put a 2 here. And that gave me 2 sodium, but it also gave me a 2 bromine. Now everything is balanced and everything has 2. This one happens to be that everything has 2. And we didn't put any coefficient in front of this last one. So our coefficients are 1, 2, 2, 2, 1, 2, 2, 2. So nothing goes into both of those. So everything is good. That was number 6. Let's look at number 7. We've got H2 plus Cl2 gives us HCl. This one's pretty easy. We've got 2 hydrogen. We've got 2 chlorine. Over here we have 1 hydrogen, 1 chlorine. Let's put a 2 in front of here. That gave us 2 of both of those, and everything's balanced. That one was really easy. Okay, let's look at number 8. CdCO3 yields CDO plus CO2. Now, this is one where we can't keep the ions together because look, CO3 over here, the O's split up and we've got a CO2 and an O by itself. So we can't do that. And we're going to have to think of them all as separate. So we have 1 CD, 1 calcium, 3 oxygen. Over here, 1 CD, 1 calcium, and 1, 2, 3 oxygen. Oh, everything is all balanced already. It's already balanced and we don't need to use any coefficients. Everything is balanced. Okay, that is how you balance equations. So that is how you do the activity for the balancing equation section.